Hello, I'm John Sarasani. I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur, and now I'm a venture capitalist. Over the years, I've also invested in a lot of real estate. Today, I'm going to be talking about determining the rent price for a property that you're going to rent out. This is a very quick and easy approach. It's what I do. It's worked for me over the years. I look at an aggressive number and a conservative number. The aggressive number has 5 different components that you have to consider. It has your homeowners association fees. It has your real estate taxes, and then it has your mortgage. But where in your mortgage you're amortized, meaning how much of it's going towards principal, because you're paying that principal piece of the mortgage to yourself in the form of equity in your home, which is towards your net worth. The last piece is appreciation. I use 3%. This home is going to appreciate, on average, 3% a year moving into the future. That's the number I put into play. Then I take all those numbers into consideration, and I put in some upkeep, and maybe there's some vacancy. I use 1.5 months. So what I do then is take that number and multiply it by 13.5 months, because a year has 12 months. I'm adding 1.5 months to it. So I take that number, multiply it by 13.5, and then divide it by 12. And that, of course, inflates the number a little bit. That is my aggressive minimum. I then look at the other end of the spectrum, and I take a conservative number. It has all the same components, but it's missing a couple. So on the conservative approach, we're taking the homeowners association fee still. We're still taking your taxes. This time we're taking your mortgage, just the total mortgage payment, not considering how much of it's going to principal or interest. And we're also not considering appreciation. Now, this is the most basic way to look at things. A lot of people look at things this way. It's very conservative, in my opinion. So in the conservative approach, I do the exact same thing I did on the aggressive. I build in 1.5 months. So I multiply that number by 13.5 and divide it by 12. Okay? Now here in front of me, I have 2 sets of numbers. I have an aggressive number over here, which should be considerably lower than the conservative number. The only reason this number wouldn't be considerably lower is if maybe your mortgage was an interest-only mortgage. If you're on an interest-only mortgage, a non-conventional interest-only mortgage, that's fine, but your mortgage payment itself is already deflated. It's already less than it should be, okay? So this is assuming you're on a regular 30-year mortgage, okay? So I compare those two. And where I want to end up is as close to this conservative number in rent that I could be, all right? I know my bare minimum is really this aggressive number, but I want to be somewhere over here. Now, depending on where you are, you might not be able to dictate. You probably won't be able to dictate rent and just say, hey, I want this. The market dictates it, all right? So now I turn around and look at, okay, what is the market saying that I can rent this property for? Whatever that number is, I then compare these 3. If it's at the conservative, or better yet, beyond that conservative number, I'm in pretty good shape. I like what I'm looking at. If it's not at the conservative, but somewhere over here, ooh, gosh, I don't know. The closer it gets to that aggressive number, the more I don't like it as an investment. Now, you might be in a position where, hey, you're buying a property or you own a property and maybe you have a significant other that owns a property and you're deciding to move in together. That's a great example. Okay. And you have to rent one of the properties out. Okay, well, you're doing it for lifestyle circumstances now. Maybe not just totally as investment circumstances. You don't have to be all the way over here. Use a judgment call to figure out where you're comfortable in that spectrum. All right, let's use a real world example now. All right, you have a property that's worth $500,000. You got a loan on that property for $400,000 a little over 4 years ago, or let's say 4 years exactly ago. On one side, I have the aggressive, and on the other side, I have the conservative. So the HOA fees, for this example, we're going to assume they're $500. Boom, boom, plug $500 onto each side. Your real estate taxes, I'm assuming $1,041 because I happen to own properties in states that have very high real estate taxes. So in this example of a $500,000 home, yeah, that's about right. Other states would be considerably less. But in both of your examples, the taxes are going to be the same. Find out the real taxes on the property and plug the appropriate number in. The mortgage, again, we're on a $400,000 mortgage, 30-year fixed, 3.5%. That mortgage payment is $1,796. But as you'll see on the aggressive side, we need to subtract out the amount of that is going towards principal. The amount going towards principal is $723. On the conservative side, we're not considering that. Also, on the aggressive side, we are considering appreciation. On the conservative side, we are not. So if you have a $500,000 home, and we're assuming 3%, that's what I use, 3% appreciation, that's 15 grand a year. 15 grand divided by 12 is $1,250 per month. So as you'll see, we're simply taking all of those numbers, adding them together, and on the aggressive side, it gets us to $1,364. But on the conservative side, it's $3,337. That's how much that amortization schedule matters, and that's how much the appreciation matters. Most people will say, gosh, I'm just breaking even. That rental property I have in the city, oh man, I'm just breaking even on that thing. Well, usually they're comparing their rent price to the conservative example. That's okay if you're there. That's where I want to be. I want to be as close to that conservative number, either at or near it, or higher is great. So now the next thing you want to do though, is take it one step further. We have to add in the 1.5 months of upkeep that I talked about. You are going to take that 1,364 and that 3,337, and you're going to multiply it by 13.5 months, because you're giving yourself an extra 1.5 months, and then you're going to divide it by 12. Once you do that, then that inflates it up to the 1,534, and that 3,337 goes to that $3,754. All right? That now is your spectrum. All right? We're now going to go to a local realtor, or go to Zillow or Realtor.com, or just do your own research. What does the market say we could get for rent? Okay? If it's at or near this conservative number, we're in pretty good shape. If it's above it, great. If it's closer to the aggressive side, okay, it's just that. It's aggressive. Hope this was helpful. I'm John Sarasani. Follow my Instagram at John Sarasani, or my YouTube channel, Gems by John Sarasani. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. All right, buddy.